I don't think Watson's going to be playing this year. I think he's going to be eventually he's going to get suspended. But the good thing about Cleveland is they actually have talent.
On today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Yacht Coaches Podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis and the OCP team of correspondents preview the AFC North in advance of the 2022-2023 football season. Welcome to today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and my partner, Coach Mike Franchise Francis, is on assignment. So for this Top Shelf Tuesday edition, we are going to preview the AFC North. This is the first of our preseason episodes. So we're going to have correspondents help us out. So I want to introduce you on order of my screen to our OCP team correspondents. Will Cotton is a national correspondent for the Odd Coaches Podcast. Will is a former player of mine and one of the team captains for life who now works in the IT field. Cotton man, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing great. Up early, got my workout in, ready to roll.
All right. With us also is Akil Russell. Akil is a national correspondent, and he's going to give us some Baltimore Ravens information today. Akil's also a former player who is also in the coaching world as well. So, Akil, what's going on?
And not much. How's it going?
Man, this is great. Merv Jones will come in. He is a Cleveland Browns person and the newest member of the CKA family. So when he jumps in, you'll know it because we're just going to keep him live. So you'll hear from Merv shortly, and hopefully he can catch on. And rounding out our crew is, as Mean Gene would say, a close, longtime personal friend of mine, Dawn Gibbons, who I have worked with for years, one of the finest educators and advocates for students that I have ever worked with, and I believe, a lifelong Steelers fan. I'm pausing because I don't usually say Dawn this much, but Dawn, how are you doing? And thank you for joining us.
I'm well, thanks for the invitation. And yes, lifelong Steeler fan.
All right. So I want to introduce our audience to our Odd Coaches Podcast ratings. If we rate a team a 1, we think that team's a championship caliber team, which means they're going to make it in the playoffs. If we rank them a 2, we think they're average. The league is full of average teams. And if we rank them a 3, we think they have, let's just say, major needs. Okay. So our consultants and correspondents will be prepared to give their thoughts on the Baltimore Ravens. So let me double check my notes. Akil, that's going to be you, sir. So Akil, I have the Baltimore Ravens ranked as a 1.88. And Lamar Jackson's contract status is like hanging over the organization like a storm cloud. Give me your thoughts on the Baltimore Ravens, sir.
I mean, Ravens traditionally is a strong team. I like their roster, honestly. Obviously, Lamar adds that element to the game, that off the script, super fast athlete, can make plays on his own. I mean, their offense, I feel like in the past has been pretty simple. They can make their offense a little more complex. They can definitely do a lot more. As far as are they making the playoffs? Is that what you're asking me? What is your direction?
This is just your initial thoughts on the Ravens, and again, Lamar Jackson's contract status is kind of holding everybody hostage.
I need money. I need money.
Yes, I think that was today's tweet.
Yeah. He changed his profile picture. I mean, they got to pay the man. I mean, they had him ranked. He was top 3 when they broke down decision making. I was looking at something. Where did it go? They had him ranked as the 3rd. Only they had Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers It was best and worst QB decision making from 2019 to 2021. They had Lamar ranked 3. Only
All right.
Rodgers and Brady's in front. They got to pay him. They got to figure it out, coach. they can't
Price,
let him go.
price going up. Price
Yeah.
going up. That's what it
Yesterday's
is.
price is not today's price.
Exactly.
All
Price going
right.
up.
They're going to pay the man. But I mean, overall, I like the team. I like their draft picks. They got a 6'4", 220-pound safety that came out of Notre Dame. He can do it all. And they don't even have him in the lineup right now. I foresee him, getting a lot of playing time. And you already know they have some good second-year players. They have a great secondary. They got great run stop up front. They got the boy from Michigan. He's a great edge rusher. So I mean, I'm looking at the roster. I mean, they have everything. I mean,
Right.
it's a tough division.
It is
It's
a tough division. Yeah.
But they have everything you could need and or want, coach.
All right. So the Cincinnati Bengals and Cotton Man, I'm going to have you do them. The OCP has them rated as a 1.55. And the big thing that I had coming into the season is Joe Burrow really elite. Will, what are your thoughts on the Cincinnati Bengals?
The Bengals, I think they're going to be the team to beat in the division. It really didn't got any worse. They've added some people. I think the biggest thing for them is staying healthy, keeping Burrow protected. That's a big part of that. He took a lot of hats. He took a lot of hits last year, and he took the benefits of not getting hurt of that. And the year before that, he actually tore his knee up. So it really kind of moves as Joe Burrow. So I think they're the team to beat. They're going to win the division. I think it's not going to be a runaway. I think it's going to be them and the Ravens. But I really don't see them as someone to beat them and usurp their division crown. I think they repeat.
So Merv is delayed. So Will, I want you to do Cleveland as well for segment 1, and hopefully we can get him in before the end of the show. The OCP has Cleveland rated as a 2.22. And you are a regular listener of the show, and we thank you for that.
Yeah.
And you have heard Coach Francis and I talk about Deshaun week after week after week. Baker Mayfield has now been traded, and Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Watson will be their quarterback room with whoever the third person is. I can't think of them. What are we doing in Cleveland, man? What's going on?
Cleveland's going to be tricky. I don't think Watson's going to be playing this year. I think he's going to be eventually he's going to get suspended. But the good thing about Cleveland is they actually have talent. They have a lot of good guys on the insides of the ball. You know what I'm saying? Especially on defense. This is technically the same team that took the Chiefs, to fourth quarters in the AFC Championship a couple years ago. I think a good thing they could do was they got rid of Baker, so all that air and that storm cloud get him out of the locker room, and I think they can kind of focus on football and not have that spotlight, especially on Baker and all that thing they're doing. It's going to be hard to stay away from Watson, but if he gets suspended early enough, then they can continue to move on, and he could just be a footnote. I still think at the end of the day they are the Cleveland Browns. So I think they're going to be a medal team because I think they peaked about 2 years ago. So I think they're not going to get any better. I think not obviously Jacoby is not going to shrink the playbook. You can't do the same plays that you're going to run with Watson. But they'll be competitive. They'll be a good team. They're not going to be out there getting stomped and beat by 40 points. They'll compete, but they'll lose on the little stuff.
Now, I got to ask you while I have you here about Cleveland, and I know you have paid attention. Robert Kraft didn't get any time suspended for his situation. Jerry Jones didn't get any time for his situation. And the league has said, not Keith Adams, the league has said they hold owners to a higher standard than players, and neither owner got suspended for their shenanigans in types of situations like this. Do you really think Deshaun's going to get a year? What do you
I
think?
think he's going to get a year. I think you. I can't. I think the NFL. We can't look back and say, okay, this is what we're doing it. If it was the wrong way, I think they're looking back and say, okay, well, these were doing things, and now we're in a different world. You know, we're in a different world in terms of Me Too, BLM, things like that, social actives. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're going to have to do something because now the NFL wants women's money. You know, they have a lot. They cater a lot to women in terms of their clothing, their correspondence. They're hiring coaches. They're hiring executives for women. So it's not going to fly. It's not a boys' club anymore. You know, so things like that is not gonna fly. You know, whereas two, 3 years ago, there was a lot less of women in the league. So those kind of things got swept under the rug. You know, for example, would Big Ben get in the trouble that he did, 5-7 years ago? Would he be playing this year? Would he be playing in this era? I don't know. I doubt it. He would have met a lot more scrutiny than he would have. So I think he's going to miss some time. I know he's not legally guilty, but if you're trying to build a brand for women and you want women to enjoy the game and be part of the game, then you have to protect them at the same time.
All right. Which takes us to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the OCP has the Pittsburgh Steelers rated 1.88, and many people pause on my rating of the Steelers. Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett? So, Dawn, what are you thinking about the Steelers? And if you want to sneak in a side comment about Deshaun Watson, feel free to do so as well.
No, I mean, I don't know a lot, but I think that is true. Ben Roethlisberger was, accused of sexual assault, and at the time, as a woman, I was, my kid had his jersey because he was and I was like, can't wear that, and he might be a great football player, but you're not gonna put his name on your back. Like, he's not a good person. So 24 counts is a lot of counts. Some of it has to be true. I mean, somewhere along the way. So, but is he paid to be a football player or is he paid to be a morally upstanding citizen? I don't know.
Well, moving on to your Steelers, who do you want to be quarterback? Do we want Kenny Pickett with the small hands?
Oh my God, the hand thing is so stupid. That's just so. I think it's going to be Mitchell Trubisky is going to be the starter. I think the Steelers are going to give Kenny Pickett time. So unless something horrible happens to Mitchell Trubisky, I mean, again, back to Big Ben, when Big Ben started, he wasn't supposed to be the starter that season. I mean, Mike, I can't even remember now, but the other guys got hurt, and then he stepped in and became this hero, right? And so I think Kenny Pickett, at this point now, in all the little camps and stuff, he hasn't been working with the first string people. So I don't think there's any chance that he's going to be the starting quarterback. I'm excited about the idea of Kenny Pickett, however, but the Steelers, I think that, this division is one of the hardest divisions when you really look at it. All the teams, so the Bengals, the Ravens and Steelers are always competitive. No matter whether they both start the season sucking or they're great or whatever, they're always competitive with each other. And, sometimes I think the Steelers are in the Browns' head. So, it's hard for the Browns to beat the Steelers, regardless of the talent they have or don't have. I think the Steelers will, for the last, 15, 16 years, they've been over 500 or better. So I can't imagine a season where they don't make the playoffs. I guess being from Pittsburgh, I'm a little spoiled that way. So I expect them to be competitive. I'm not certain. They still, the O-line is going to be better. And anybody's better than Big Ben at age 39 going on 40. You can't move and his elbow's broken. So, I'm positive about their chances here.
All right. So fans, on the other side of this break, we're going to introduce the newest member of the CKA family, and we're going to have a structured debate on the AFC North. So we'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Folarin Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 2 of our AFC North preview, we're going to have a structured debate on the AFC North, but we first want to formally welcome our Cleveland Browns Odd Coaches Podcast correspondent and the newest member of the CKA family, Merv Jones. Merv, how are you, sir? Welcome, and thank you for squeezing us in.
Thank you for having me. It's a good time to talk sports right before the football season is about to commence. Just a little background on me. I played no football through high school. I was on the team the senior year and just did kickoff. And then college, I went to a small Division II school called Hiram in Ohio. And from there, played 4 years at tight end and ended up getting a couple tryouts and on the practice squad for the Browns. And was there in Atlanta for a week, and then they signed Tony Gonzalez. So that was the end of my career.
That's okay. And we are so happy to have you because we all have stories of what could have been. So first thing I want to talk about is strength of schedule and just agree or disagree. So the primary person for the team will address it first, and then we'll have everybody agree or disagree, and we'll see how it works. So Cincinnati, according to Caesars, has the third strongest strength of schedule. They're going to play some tough teams. And Caesars says Cincinnati's going to win 10. Will, what do you think, man? Will Cincinnati win 10 games according to Caesars?
I got them winning 10 and maybe over. I have them being so based on their schedule, I got them winning Steelers twice. I got them beating the Cowboys, Dolphins, Saints, Browns twice, Jets, Falcons, Titans. I think they're going to lose to Buccaneers. They're going to lose to the Bills. There's some interesting games. Chiefs, obviously, and the Ravens twice. Those are going to be interesting that are going to kind of be, see how serious they are in terms of in the playoffs. But I think they can win over 10. I think they can win around, 11, 12, win the division. Win the division. Obviously, they're going to have to win one of those games between either one of the Ravens games or they're going to have to beat the Chiefs. I think they could beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs have regressing. In my opinion, they've been getting worse. They've been losing talent until we believe and see what happens. What's going to happen with that. So I think the over. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take about 11, 12 wins.
I like the phraseology, sir. Strictly for entertainment purposes only.
Always, strictly.
Don, do you think the Bengals can win 10? Would you say higher or lower than 10?
I think they can win 10.
Okay. All right.
I don't think they can beat the Steelers twice, but I think they can win 10.
I can live with that. Merv, 10 wins for the Bengals. Higher or lower, or what do you think?
I tend to lean on numbers and trends, and usually people who make it to the Super Bowl and lose don't make it back or anywhere close. And the one thing that scares me about the Bengals is their secondary. They put their safety under the franchise tag, and he hasn't even signed it yet. So I don't even, their number one player on defense may not even be around this season unless they fix that up. So with that being said, and looking at their schedule right now, Cowboys, Jets, Dolphins, Saints, I'll give them 11.
Okay, all right. And Akil, and I haven't said your nickname, so I'm good. I'm doing really good. Akil, what do you think? 10 wins? Agree or disagree?
Joe Burrow. Hey, he's the guy. What are we talking about? Joe
Okay.
Burrow's the guy.
All right.
That offense is crazy.
That offensive line is trash, though.
It's not fake.
Yeah, they gotta get better.
Can't throw on your back, baby. Can't throw on your back.
It's not a gimmick. It's a real deal. He's reading the defense and he's throwing dots.
All right.
They say moxie. Joe Burrow and his moxie. Yeah, that's
He
real.
got it. He got it.
He definitely has it. He definitely has it.
We bet $10 on stuff, so my wife doesn't care. All right, we're going to move on. Pittsburgh has the 12th strongest schedule, and Caesars, not me, Caesars say 7.5 wins. Dawn, do you agree or disagree with Caesars? And again, strictly for entertainment purposes only.
I disagree, but I do think it's a hard schedule. So, I mean, I feel, and so, they have to play the Patriots, they have to play the Buccaneers, they have to play the Bills, they have to play, of course, then they have to play the Bengals twice, the Ravens twice. I mean, it's a never-ending battle. And the end of their schedule is like they play the Ravens, and then 2 weeks later, they play the Ravens and the Browns again. So it's like heavy on the divisional piece. I do think the Steelers will end the season 500. I don't think they'll have a losing season. I think they can only get better on offense. I mean, they lost Juju, I guess, but he wasn't there half the season three quarters of the season last year. So, like I said before, I think the quarterback position. I mean, Ben was great when he was 25, 28, 30, but so I think they'll be competitive. So I think they'll definitely be better than the 7 wins.
Okay. Cotton Man, 7.5 for the Steelers. Where are you, sir?
I'm gonna take slightly under. I'm gonna take them about 6 to 7. Yeah. So I was going over their schedule, and again, this is just paper, so I don't take it don't take it as stone. I got some wins that they're going to win against the Jets, Falcons, Panthers, and I got beating the Browns once. They have a tough schedule, like Don said. They play the Bills, obviously Ravens twice, Bengals twice, Raiders, who are amped, ready to go and make that push. Eagles are ready to put that push. Bucks, again, tough. Dolphins in Miami, which doesn't help anyone out. And I think they play the Colts. They're going to be sneaky good, too. There's some interesting games that they play. They play, the Browns at home. I think they can easily win the Browns at home any day. And then there's an interesting game that the Patriots play early. I think they play the Patriots like first week or so. So any games in the first week are possibly to be upset. So I think those could be win. And then I think they're going to beat the Saints. I think Saints are poop. So yeah. But I think slightly under 7.5, 6, 7 games, 7 wins. That's about it.
Okay. Merv, what about the Steelers? 7.5, sir.
I tend to agree with Will here. The Lions will be an absolute win. Dolphins will be a hard out because they're just revamping, and we know traditionally the Steelers don't have a great secondary until this past year. Secondary has been like a big struggle for them, and now it seems like their linebacking core outside of Watt is suffering. I thought they should have got Bush out of there a whole lot sooner than what they did. So I will put the Steelers, and yes, I am a Browns fan. I am from Cleveland. I was on the team briefly. I'll put them at 7.
Okay. All right. And Akil, what do you think about the Steelers? 7.5, sir.
First RP, my man DH Dwayne. And from there, it's a passing lead. Who's their quarterback?
Mitch.
Oh, okay. Have you seen him play? Have you seen him?
He was available for a reason, as we like to say on the
Yeah,
show.
all right. So again, let me go ahead and agree with my man, brother Cotton. I don't know, man. It's hard to win, especially in the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback. I'm sorry. I don't care how good your defense is. You got to score points. And
Ship without a captain.
yeah, I'm looking at their schedule, and I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, speaking
Jets,
of, I don't
below,
know.
hey,
Man.
below 7, below 6.
All right.
6
Ouch.
and 11. What they play? 17 games. I give them 6 and 11.
All right. Well, speaking of below, Merv, Caesars doesn't have Cleveland on the board as of my last bit of notes. So you are going to set the table for us. What's your win total this year, or are you like Caesars and saying right on row? What do you think, sir?
Well, with all the pending stuff that's happening, we don't know who our quarterbacks are going to be. We don't know who's going to show up on defense this year outside of Myles Garrett. I'll give a 6. I'll be completely, yeah. I mean, Amari Cooper is a plus, but we don't know who's going to throw to Amari Cooper. Jacoby Brissett is solid. He's proven to be a known quarterback in the league, but he hasn't finished out a full season and who knows how long, because he's been a backup his whole career. You can't, going back to the Steelers, you can't run Najee Harris 40 times a game. You can't run Nick Chubb 40 times a game and then give Kareem Hunt the ball another 20. It's just what it is. And with all the weapons that the Browns do have, unless Deshaun Watson actually gets 8 games instead of a full year like everybody's anticipating, I don't foresee this being a great season for the Browns.
Okay. Will, what do you think about his prediction of 6 wins for the Browns?
I'm actually right on. I agree with Merv. I agree. I'm looking at the schedule. I see some wins: Panthers, Jets, Falcons. I think if they get lucky, they should win at least one of the Steelers games, Texans and the Saints. But then they have a crazy schedule. Play the Chargers, Patriots, Ravens twice, Bengals twice, Dolphins, Bills, Bucks. Then they got to play Steelers in Pittsburgh. They're going to be an interesting team. Either they show up and rally each other in terms of Deshaun Watson and saying, hey, we deserve to be here, or they can fold and say, oh, well, we're not scoring and things like that. So I think 6, if you want to get, froggy, 7, but 6-7 is probably right there for me.
Right. Don, what do you think about 6 wins for the Bengals, for the Browns? Agree or disagree?
I agree. I guess I always expected them to be better than they ended up finishing, and so.
All right, Mr. Russell.
Before they
please.
also play the Commanders, and that is a wild card for me. It could be a win, it could be a loss. I don't know, just because I'm not really sure about the Commanders.
Absolutely.
So
I will be
7.
at that game.
Yeah, nice.
I'll absolutely be at that game.
My partner still doesn't know who Terry McLaurin is. So, Akil, what do you think about Cleveland and 6 wins?
One thing, I'm going above. One thing about Cleveland, they can run the ball. And if you can run the ball, milk the clock, and play defense, you got a chance. You got to throw some special teams in there. I mean, they got 2 solid running backs. Their O-line is pretty good. I don't know if they lost anybody, but the Browns games that I watched, them boys is mauling people up front. The boy 77, what's his name? I don't even know his name. He's a guard. He's man. Yeah.
No sacks. He was a beast.
So you can run the ball. You have spell as long as everyone stays healthy. And if Watson plays, I don't know what that situation is going to look like. But I feel like they can win at least 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. Honestly, I'm looking at their schedule. I mean, with that formula, if they have a quarterback and a mobile one at that, that's going to give them another at least 2 games, a couple possessions, a couple extra first downs here and there. I think they can win. I'll go 8 to 9. I'm going above.
Okay.
I'll go 8, 9, somewhere right there.
I appreciate you for that, but everybody sleeps on Dearness Johnson. We have 3 solid running backs.
Sorry. 3 solid running backs.
All right, Akil, you have Baltimore, sir. And Caesars says 9.5 wins for the Ravens. What say you?
I'm going above 9, coach. I'm looking at this schedule. The Bills, yes, but again, this is football. This is why we play the game. You know, I can say who's going to win, who's going to lose, but we don't know. And again, it's I'm a football guy. I'm around the game. I understand how things work. A quarterback such as Lamar, he's different. He's not human. So those are things you can't factor in. He's going to do something magical. So, and again, the defense. I like their defense. I like their draft picks. They added some pieces to their defense.
They're getting 17 players back.
Yeah, that's another that
from IR too. So and Marcus Peters.
Getting a lot of players back from injuries. So I mean, the teams that I have circled, that's Bills, Bucks, I'm a Broncos fan, by the way. Salute. We play them. So the games actually they're playing the 2012 division game that I was in big play for about all day, damn near in tears when was it Jacoby Jones caught that thing at the end of the game. But it's neither here nor there. So they got the Bengals twice, obviously. That's my question mark. But I feel like they could probably take one of those. Tampa, the Bills, and the Broncos. And I feel like they could beat everyone else. So honestly, what was the number you said, Coach? How many wins?
9.5, sir. 9.5.
I'm going above 9. You said 9.5?
9.5, sir.
I'm going 9 3/4.
Cotton Man, agree or disagree?
I agree. I'm going to over 9.5. I got them beating the Jets, Giants, Browns twice, Saints, Panthers, Jaguars, Steelers twice, Falcons. I think they can beat the Bengals once. I think there's a couple losses in there for them. Bills, Bucks, Bengals once. There's some interesting games, obviously. Broncos, I still think it's a very interesting game. We'll see. I think I'm going to lean on Broncos to win that game. But I think they can beat the Patriots. That's anytime Belichick is coaching, you kind of have to, grain of salt. But I think they can beat. I think they're good enough to beat the Patriots. So I think they can win over.
Okay, Dawn, what do you think?
So, I mean, I think that the Ravens are, obviously a great team. I just think that Lamar doesn't always show up to big games. I mean, and so I'm not certain. I would say that, I would go with what Caesar said.
Okay. And Merv, close us out.
The words of a Steelers fan.
Yeah, well,
Exactly. So objective. So I will say this. As good of a running game that the Ravens have, even though they got rid of J.K. Dobbins and they have a good tight end, eventually he's going to have to throw the ball. And who's he got to throw to?
I have no idea.
Exactly.
I have no idea.
He doesn't have Hollywood anymore. I don't think
I don't think that's a loss.
Bateman, he got Devin Duvernay, Bateman. Bateman's fast.
Bateman's good. And they still got Heath, right? The tight end. Listen, Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Andrews, yeah. I acknowledge.
They still got Dobbins on the roster.
Oh, they do? I thought he went to Miami.
They got him starting on the depth chart. I mean, I'm looking at the depth chart right now.
Okay, so I apologize for that part, but I believe that the Ravens will I'll give them at 10 wins, to be honest with you, because the lack of ability at wide receiver in my eyes and them being so run heavy, we saw last year that their run heaviness gets stopped, especially when Lamar is hobbled. And who knows what's going to happen. I hope he stays healthy, but if he just has a little ankle tweak like he did last year, it puts him out for 3 weeks easy.
Well, fans, that was our structured debate on the AFC North. I thought that was awesome. So we're going to slide out. And when we get back on segment 3, we're going to take a look at the AFC North in comparison with the rest of the league as we close out strictly for entertainment purposes on the Odd Coaches podcast.
There is an old business adage that says, what gets measured and monitored gets done. It is also fact that deadlines spur action. That is what the CKA Save Project academic monitoring service can do for student athletes. Measure and monitor their academic progress to improve their grades. Our academic monitoring services provide ongoing academic support for student athletes for a designated period of time. Our academic success coaches work with student athletes on time management and organizational skills, along with improving their ability to self-advocate. Every few weeks, our academic success coaches meet with student athletes to assess their academic progress as well as provide ongoing academic advising. If needed, student athletes have access to CKA Learning Specialists who provide virtual core subject academic support for student athletes. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast and segment 3 of our AFC North preview. Strictly for entertainment purposes only, we're going to do division predictions and postseason predictions. So have your picks ready, folks. All right, division winner. Will, who's winning the division, sir? Who's winning the AFC North?
Rawr! Bengals.
All right, Bengals. Merv, who's winning?
I agree. Bengals.
All right. Dawn, who's winning?
I agree, the Bengals.
And Akil, who's winning?
Why did everyone choose the Bengals? I Bengals.
Okay.
I go Bengals.
All right. So fans, so you'll know this is all strictly for entertainment purposes only. And the OCP will be dropping Big Ten spots all season long. So in terms of the playoffs, if you have the Bengals winning, how many teams does the AFC North get? So Will, anybody
2.
else in the AFC North get into the playoffs?
Ravens are making the wild card.
Ravens.
So Bengals and Ravens from the AFC North.
Don, anybody else getting into the playoffs from the AFC North?
I mean, I would like to believe the Steelers will make the playoffs.
It's okay.
But again,
I'll put
I
it
don't
down.
know. I haven't seen them play, so you never know.
Merv.
I agree. Ravens. I just don't see it for the Browns or the Steelers to actually make that run for a wild card spot.
Okay, and Akil.
I'm agreeing with the same two, but it's my only just if Watson plays and is healthy, that's a big question mark. Because again,
All right.
if you can ground and pound and play defense, and then you add him into the mix, that's if though. That's a big if.
So that's going to be our transition, Akil. So your surprise team for the AFC North is the Browns. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, before that, I would say definitely Bengals. Then I would say Ravens. But then the Browns is a big question mark for me. That's all.
All right. So
They're
in
big
terms of surprise teams, Merv, out of the AFC North, who's going to surprise people?
I will say it. Brokenheartedly, I'll say it. If it's not the Browns, it's definitely the Steelers.
Okay. That's going to be a surprise.
Defense and a good running game, as Akil said, will win you games. But at the same time, Tomlin just doesn't miss when it comes to being serviceable and keeping the Steelers afloat, even with mismatched parts. He's good for keeping the team together.
All right. Don, who's going to be a surprise in the AFC North?
Well, based on this conversation, I think the Steelers. I just think that he's right that Tomlin figures out a way. Even when I always think that when the people think the Steelers are going to be crap, they always manage to be better than they were. When people think they're going to be good, I'm sitting here holding my head in my hands, wondering what the hell happened. So,
Hey, Cotton Man, who is your surprise team in the North?
I'm gonna say Steelers, but I'm gonna go the opposite way. I'm gonna say how bad they will be. Sorry, guys.
Wow.
I think they have a lot of young pieces, and I love Mike Tomlin to death. He's my favorite coach on the league, but we're a league of talent, and if they can get it together, they can. But there's just a lot of pieces, and I'm just not I don't believe. So I think the surprise will be they'll be very bad this season.
Which is a great segue for the biggest disappointment. So, Will, who do you think is going to be the biggest disappointment, or is it the Steelers?
It's not the Steelers. I think Cleveland is the biggest disappointment. I mean, they just, they got a big quarterback, Deshaun Watson. They thought they were going to make the next step. They thought that's what they needed from Baker, moving on from Baker Mayfield. But it all kind of went to crash. Went to crap. And they continue to regress. Went to the AFC title game, two years ago. Last year, had the same team, pretty much, and didn't do that well. Now they're losing the quarterback that they wanted and both quarterbacks that they were going to lead the team. I just can't see this team being better. I think I'm not saying that at this point they're going to be like a bad losing, 2-win, 3-win team, but they're going to be a team that you're going to be a disappointment, especially for Cleveland fans, especially how they started to progress and move forward that playoff, that championship feeling that they had. And I think they're starting to regress that. So they're going to be a biggest disappointment, but not so much from the record standpoint, but from their play.
All right, Akil, who's going to be the biggest disappointment in your eyes in the AFC North?
I'm sorry, Don. It has to be the Steelers. And again, there's no bias. It's straight. It's the quarterback. This the issue. You got to play 4 quarters. And Mitch might could get you 1 drive. I don't know, maybe 2. But at some point, like you said, the talent. Where is the talent? The 5-yard pass, little intermediate throws, yeah. But when third and long, what we doing?
What they got? They got Claypool. They got Deontay Johnson.
Claypool's nice.
They got Harris.
What's
the tight end name? It's the quarterback. They got a ship. I don't know if they got a captain.
Quarterback, they're driving the car, coach.
I don't know.
So, and again, for the Brown situation, it sounds like Cotton has some inside information. He's saying Watson's not playing.
I don't think he's playing.
We don't think he's playing. If
playing.
Watson doesn't play, who's there too? Who's their next Q?
Jacoby,
baby.
Jacoby and what's the guy from Tennessee?
All right,
the bald-headed guy who was with the Steelers.
I know you talk about. I'm going. Yeah, I'm sorry, Pittsburgh. It's just very hard. And bad energy. We losing games. This is gonna be bad. I'm sorry, Don.
All right, Don. Who's gonna be the biggest disappointment?
Well, I don't. I think I'm the least knowledgeable of your panelists here.
That's
so
okay.
my group at home here with me all believe that Cincinnati's going to be a disappointment. That people are gonna be
okay.
That they're not, according to my kids, they don't think they're all that in a bag of chips, and that Joe Burrow gets beat, and from what I've read, he gets beat up. He's getting beat up. His offensive line doesn't protect him. And I've had a front row seat to see how that plays out. So they lose him, he gets hurt, or he starts to slow down, they're going to be in a hurt.
Joe Burrow takes a lot of hits because they come with 5 wide receivers often. So they're only blocking with 5. But that's giving them optimum passing options.
I like that.
And pass if you're in concussion protocol, sir.
But I can't put the Steelers in a biggest disappointment because no one thinks they're going to be that good anyway. Like everybody thinks they're not going to be good, so it's not going to be a disappointment for them to win 4 games. For me, Cleveland, and Don said even the Bengals would be a great disappointment if they did. But I think Cleveland, man, that was a team that was literally right there. 2 pieces, 2 plays.
It looked real good on paper. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and they built that team. It's been the last 3-4 years. They built that team up to a really impressive team out of the doldrums, and then now they're wow. Now they're back to the Browns. In my opinion, that's still the biggest disappointment. And not this doesn't mean have to do with wins, just where you're supposed to be now based on where you're supposed to be.
I like Cleveland on paper. Cleveland on paper looks pretty good.
But like you said, who drives the car?
Yeah, that's the issue. I don't know. Watson doesn't play. That's a problem. But I like a lot of pieces they have.
Even if he did,
Yeah.
he never really won like that in Houston.
Handed the ball off. Give the ball to
He
Chubb.
never won in Houston. Watson never won in Houston.
And
Bro,
step back.
even when he had D Hop, they didn't
They
do
didn't have
anything.
Chubb though. Chubb is different. Nick Chubb is different. Nick
I
Chubb,
feel you.
and then
All
he
right,
got
Merv, go ahead,
27.
buddy. You tell me who's going to be the disappointment, and then defend your Browns.
Well, I'll go off of Will real quick and say that the last time Deshaun Watson had a running game was what's his guy, Deshaun Foster or
Foster.
not
Arian
Foster,
Foster.
Arian Foster.
Arian Foster,
Arian
Foster.
Foster.
And even then, they had a horrible offensive line then. So I want to see what happens when he actually has a legit offensive line and legit tools besides one wide receiver. But my disappointment would definitely be Cleveland or Pittsburgh. But if I had to lean to choose one, it would be Pittsburgh because Tomlin hasn't had to deal with this lack of tools. Like he hasn't had a quarterback. He hasn't had, a good rotation of offensive line and defensive line. How old is Cameron Hayward? And they just drafted his brother. Cameron Hayward is probably almost 40 now, maybe 36, 37. And he takes a lot of pounding and stuff like that, taking on double teams and everything. So, in the reoccurring theme of this whole conversation is who's your quarterback? We saw what Mitch Trubisky did in Chicago. We didn't see him play at all in Buffalo. The rookie Prickett. Yeah,
I like he's pretty good, but
He got small
He's good.
hands. He's got small hands.
I like him.
Yes.
Joe Burrow has a small hands too.
Pickett is a football player for sure.
But here's the thing, though. They don't know what he can do until they at least get him to the preseason.
Nah.
And how much is he going to play? I don't know. I
It's
don't
gonna take
think
time. Not this
Yeah.
year. Not
he's a
this year.
project. He's a
Yeah,
project.
he's a football player, but yeah, he's gonna need some time for sure.
All right. So as we transition and get ready to wrap this up, is there a Super Bowl team out of the AFC North? Will Cotton, is there a Super Bowl team out of the AFC North?
No,
No.
not AFC. Not so
John, is there a Super Bowl team out of the AFC North?
No.
Akil Russell.
Didn't the Bengals just go to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's last year, buddy. Is there a Super Bowl team out of the AFC North?
Like the Bengals. No,
Bengals. Okay.
the Bengals.
Merv, is there a Super Bowl team out of the AFC North?
Unless the Buccaneers transfer to the AFC, no.
All right. So with that, this is our first edition of How We Did This. This is wonderful. I'm excited. And on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.